So what's the big deal? What the f are we doing out here? I ask you, what in the f are we doing here?
Bitcoin has entered record oversold conditions. Now this happened, depending on your time zone, for the UK, it was at midnight for me. Now by record oversold, I'm talking 4-hour relative strength index being so low. The last time we ever saw it at this figure was when Bitcoin fell first from 6,000 to 3,200, the dark times of 2018. Don't like to talk about it, but an extraordinarily historic dump. There has to be a greater reason for this, as despite this dip, the market's actually still doing pretty well. We've got a chart here by Peter Brandt talking, well, not really talking, just a picture, a moving average. Now, anytime Bitcoin is above this moving average is indicative of a bull market. Anytime it's trading below is indicative of a bear. Bitcoin is still well above it. It would take a rapid descent down to below $9,000 for this pennant, this trend, this upward trend to be invalidated. And as the saying goes, the trend is your friend until he betrays you and stabs you in the back. But until then, he's your friend. So as discussed in yesterday's video, we are currently at somewhat support right now, but if we fell further, it would be the low 9,000s that we'd expect further buy support. There are some people thinking it's at least possible Bitcoin wicks down lower than that. Filled, not to fill the CME gap at around $8,400–$8,500. I don't know. I don't really believe in it. There's just no reason to. Even if it did fail this time, I still probably wouldn't believe the CME must be filled theory. However, there is a news story that might explain why Bitcoin has had this historic dump lately, and it might be one that many of us missed yesterday because it's only really being reported on in China. So, there is a Ponzi in the East known as, I should probably do my research before I start talking, Plus Token. Now, Plus Token was a very, very large Ponzi in the East. When I talk large, I'm talking BitConnect levels large. Plus Token started in mid-2018 and was a pure Ponzi with a wallet front which offered the high yield investment return, had a percentage affiliation, commission, etc. They have a known address which is above, and according to the police report, the total that they scammed was about $3 billion. Many of their Bitcoin addresses are started with P2SH, which commonly used for multi-sig, so there are certain wallets that the police cannot unlock. They also have an EOS and Ethereum wallet too. So how much Bitcoin do they have? Well, according to a security audit from early July, there's been about 1,000 Bitcoin removed and gone onto Bittrex and Huobi. So 1,000 Bitcoin, that's about $10 million at 10K per. Not too bad, but they have been linked to another wallet which contains at least 74,000 Bitcoin and some 80 or 90,000 Ethereum. But that's $740 million worth of Bitcoin at 10K per. That is very, very significant. Now, definitely very scary news. I wonder if CZ is currently being briefed about this, if he's going to blacklist those coins on his exchange, if Coinbase is going to follow suit, all the exchanges are going to follow suit. That'll be very interesting to see. The most important thing to me, though, is Bitcoin still considered a good hedge against a failing economy? Long term is one thing, but I'm talking about right now. The Dow dropped 800 points on Wednesday, the same day Bitcoin had its big drop too. Gold remains stable. Is the dream over then? Well, it'd be silly to say either way. We need more data. Even though Bitcoin's been out for a long, long time, it has never actually been tested in the face of a great economic downturn.
You sissy.
You sure?
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
If you want to see a great economic downturn, do this for fun. Google X currency versus USD. You'll see a very common repeating pattern. And as far as alts go, they weren't able to maintain their USD valuations, so there's that. Faster falling than Bitcoin on average, and slower gaining than Bitcoin on average. What a lovely double-edged sword there, got all the bases covered.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
Now, Brandt says Bitcoin is in its fourth parabolic phase dating back to 2010, taking aim at a $100,000 target. Now, I actually made a video about this. Fancy that, I've made a lot of videos. But it discussed the dynamics, the people behind each phase of Bitcoin's history. So phase one, in its inception, we had the cryptography enthusiasts, aka super geeks. Second phase was dominated by, I guess, very, very lucky individuals who probably spent more time on the internet than is considered healthy. Third phase, retail. Fourth phase, which we're currently in right now, institutional, which is far more, impactful than all the previous ones because they have far more money than everyone else combined several times over. So $100,000 Bitcoin is seemingly an inevitability, all but barring a US ban on it or some sort of fatal code exploit, both of which are looking unlikely at this point. Not financial advisings, just my musings. Now, I did mention Tether there. I haven't actually, made a formal address on this, I guess. I made a video about it. But I've talked about the symmetry of the price of Bitcoin and the market cap of Tether. Now, people point to that and say, you know what, that's really, really bearish. Bitcoin is entirely propped up by something that's fake. That's not actually giving credit where credit is due. For something so popular, especially in the East, where it's completely dominated by trading Tether, you should see some symmetry. You should see a growing market cap of Bitcoin, also a growing cap of Tether. They buy Bitcoin with Tether, they also sell Bitcoin for Tether. It's entirely normal. You should see that symmetry. It would be entirely expected of something so popular. That's not to say there aren't some very glaring issues that are known, at least, about Tether. Number one, how about Tether being able to freeze your assets at any point that they choose? How about that it's only 74% backed by cash, the rest in presumably other assets? Now, for me, the main issue is with its popularity, of course, not the supposed idea that it's entirely unbacked, because, well, I guess we can't know without a real audit, but I think the former is possibly more likely than the latter, although I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But if the former is true, and Tether should totally disappear, then ideally, and supposedly, another stablecoin will fill the void pretty quickly. If the latter is true, then yeah, it would be absolutely devastating. I hate to end on a bad note. This has probably been the most bearish video I've made in a long time. Not that it was intentional, just reporting on what I think is the most interesting in all of crypto going on today. Maybe watch the last meme review video to cheer you up in case you missed it. Let's end with this though. Billionaire Mark Cuban's NBA team now accepting Bitcoin as a payment method. No, it's not enough. I don't feel any better. I want to review one meme before we end. Crypto is gonna make me rich. All in altcoins. Bitcoin maximalist. Yeah, that did make me feel better.